Good morning and welcome to another Thursday edition of Talking to Artists. We are unbelievably on edition number 25, so that's pretty cool. So the podcast is really designed for people to understand a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes as an artist, not only to create the work, but also to actually get the work out there in the public. So I think it's hopefully of interest to artists and emerging artists, but also to collectors who kind of want to understand a little bit of the magic that goes on behind the scenes. A couple of important things going on in my life right now. Well, I'm actually just in the middle of building a huge crate to send a big painting down to the US, so that's always exciting, and wish I could outsource that, but in the days of COVID, that is not to be. I'm also participating in a square foot show that's in Comox, BC, Courtney Comox Post, BC, and that's with Art Alchemy, the original Art Alchemy with my sister's show, Square Foot Show. Check it out. It's live now, and it's pretty amazing, some of the incredible art. The other thing we're doing is I'm doing the Pi Art Squared show, which is sponsored by Rustic Burl, just of circles. So if you follow my Instagram page, or if you follow Art Alchemy East, then you can start to see some of the things that are kind of coming up, which is super cool. So today we're going to be talking to an old and dear friend of mine who I don't see as much anymore because he's now moved out to live the dream in Prince Edward County. So I'm going to just bring on Jim Turner, and hopefully he is here. Oh, he is not here yet. So I won't be bringing him on yet. If any of you saw me, we did a little bit of a test yesterday just to kind of test his Instagram, because he's new to Instagram. So anyway, Jim and I he was on the board of the Artist Network for many years, and was really instrumental in kind of helping take it to a much more kind of professional level, and to broaden the scope beyond just Riverdale where it had been. So that was great to have an ally in him to do that. But probably more notably, he's actually been very involved in Snap for many, many years, as well as running his own business, and then kind of lived the dream to start his own gallery in the beautiful environment of Prince Edward County. So very cool. And I'm just going to double check to see if he's here yet. Oh, and there he is. So I'm going to invite him. That starts to prevent. Okay. Hey,
Hey,
how are you?
very good. How are you this morning, Kate?
I'm very well. Yeah.
Good.
Wonder if you could step a little closer to your microphone because it's a little hard to hear.
Okay. Is that better?
That'd be great. Look at those funky glasses. You look so the artsy part.
Well, you got to live the part.
That's right. I'm going to turn my sound up a little bit. Oh, sorry for that. My hand over the way. So I just gave a little bit of an introduction, but really I can't think you're kind of living the dream that a lot of people would love to have. Like, you had a really successful career in Toronto. You were involved in many cultural events in Toronto, which was great. And then were able to kind of leave the city behind, build your own amazing place, which I haven't seen yet because of COVID, unfortunately, in Prince Edward County, and started a gallery. So
Yes.
that's a pretty hairy-ass goal that you've delivered on.
Well, it was a long time coming and a lot of planning to be able to pull it off. However, it was a dream of myself and my partner, just to be able to try and slow down our lives a bit, enjoy our lives a bit more, and be out here in Prince Edward County, which is absolutely beautiful.
Oh yeah, I know it's such a wonderful place to launch, and I think it's really what I love. Just jumping right in, I love that your gallery is not a traditional, I would say, rural gallery. Like, it's very contemporary and it's very modern in an environment that is a bit more traditional.
Yes, yes, and that was done on purpose. There's a wealth of art and art to be discovered out here in Prince Edward County. There's the estimate is, because nobody's ever done a proper tracking, but there's an estimate. There's 250 artists out here individually working in their studios.
Wow.
Some are showing out of their studios. Some are just working out of their studios. There are major cultural events out here with studio tours, the art fairs, and a wealth of really well-established galleries with a great rosters of artists. Some are local, some are not local, some are international, and so the cluster of art and art-related things going on in the county is really amazing. So it was a great place to join. But also, we wanted to do something a little bit different. Like if there is already somebody out here that's focusing on just local artists, well then what can we do to complement that? Or if there's very, very well-established galleries out here that offer that sort of what you might expect a little bit more in a rural setting, already offering that, what do we do to complement that? What do we do to give people options when they come out here? And to appeal to two different audiences. So one is a tourist audience. So tourism out here, a huge industry.
Well, not this summer maybe, but usually.
Yes. Well, it got a little inundated this summer when everybody tried to get out of the city. Cities, people were flooding to the county to try, after spending months locked down in their 600 square foot condos in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal. People needed to get out. So obviously the county offers a wealth of outdoor adventures, beaches, beautiful nature, plus the wineries and the art galleries. And so there was actually a lot of people during the second half of the summer were out here. So, so what we tried to do is create something that might be a little bit different and that might open people's eyes a bit to different things that can be found in rural areas in Ontario.
Yeah, I love that. And I think that to me, it's always interesting because to me, that's such a inherent part of your nature in terms of what I know is let's not go in competition with the people that are around us, but let's try and find a really good kind of niche and to complement what's happening so that together we can all work together and together as an organization or as an arts culture, we can all rise.
Yes.
Which is very powerful.
And that's the overwhelming feeling out here, that we're not in competition with each other. We all complement each other. And that we actually work together. There's a Prince Edward County Art Dealers Association out here, which is a charitable arm and try to do good in the community. Plus, what do we do to market ourselves as an arts destination even more? So that's a great organization that we belong to. And I'm going to do a little plug here.
Okay.
So the Arts Trail. So the Arts Trail, artstrail.ca. That is an organization of 11 professional artist studios and galleries here in the county. They publish a guide every year and plus a website that features work. And we are very, very active in doing marketing and radio and advertising and the guide and a downloadable map. And you do your own driving tour of the county. So again, there's a whole group of people in the arts community here working together to try and promote the county. Please come out and visit because you're going to be surprised at the wealth of.
Oh, it's so great, and not only that too. It's just like amazing restaurants and really great little B&Bs and stuff like that too in that area too. So it's a totally lovely close getaway, especially from the city. Like what's an hour and a half from Toronto, right? So
that's
but it
right.
feels like a completely different world.
Yes, an hour and a half from Toronto, 2 hours from Ottawa, 2 hours from Montreal. We get a lot of American visitors up because if the New York Times mentions Prince Edward County one more time as the in spot to go to visit if you're visiting Canada, and there's 40 between the cideries, the breweries, and the wineries out here. There's 48 different places to visit. There's
well, can't do that in a weekend.
Yeah, and so it's a huge cultural destination as well. You'll be pleasantly surprised if you come out this way.
Oh, well, I always love going out there. And I think we were planning to go a couple of times and COVID kind of cut it down, unfortunately. But right. It is beautiful out there. And I love your gallery. It's just such a beautiful gallery and beautiful space. So maybe you can take us on a little bit of a tour down memory lane in terms of, I know you were very involved in SNAP. And then we worked together through the Artist Network, which was an amazing experience. I really treasured that.
Well, one of the big benefits of that was meeting you, actually.
Sweet.
So getting an opportunity to know you and to work with you and together doing some great things that help the Artist Network grow and expand, and which is great, which was absolutely wonderful.
Well, we certainly had a similar kind of vision of what we wanted to do, which I think was really pretty great. And it's, we're still building on that, which I think is wonderful. Like the Artist Network is really, I mean, it's a bit weird now, of course, but I think the vision and stuff has kind of moved to make it a little bit more, less grassroots and more kind of national, which is kind of what always the goal was.
Right, right. And the network is doing amazing things between the number of art shows they do, the fact that the network pivoted for a not a huge organization that's immensely well funded. You pivoted, yeah, you pivoted and went online really quickly. You've done a whole series of online shows, and given the opportunity to the artists that belong as members of the network, so many more opportunities to show their work and get their work out there to a broader public, which is great.
Yeah.
Great.
Hey, it would be cool maybe to collaborate and do an Artist Network show at your gallery or something like that.
I'd be happy to do that. That would be great. Yeah.
It'd be really great.
Yeah.
Now that I've got you on tape, I've got you committed.
But we proudly show a few members of the Artist Network currently, including yourself, Kate, and I would love to do that. It'd be a great way to bring more members of the network out here to the county.
Yeah, I think that'd be good. And it's great for the members to get out. It's wonderful to be within galleries and shows in Toronto, but it's nice to be able to get outside of Toronto. And more of our members also aren't even from Toronto. They're, out in BC and, throughout Ontario. So it's kind of nice to be able to do that as well.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that would be great.
Yeah. Excellent.
Okay. We got ourselves a project, Kate.
Okay. I know. And we're still trying to do a creative adventure out there too. It's just that's another thing that got kind of sidelined. But
yes.
It's another example though of how kind of really great kind of partnerships can help kind of build, the rising tide floats all boats and all that kind of stuff, which I always say. It truly does.
Absolutely.
So maybe you can talk a little bit. It would be interesting to kind of know, sort of, obviously within you had your own business for many years, but then we're very involved in things like Snap. And, maybe can you talk a little bit about what you did there and how you kind of worked on through that organization and how that helped to kind of put the pieces in place for you to allow you to feel comfortable moving forward and creating your own gallery and visualizing your dream?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it first kind of started, I was very lucky that I had parents that were heavily into the arts. So I managed to grow up under the influence of my parents and, a mother who loved going to the opera, loved going to the ballet, loved talking about art. Parents both that collected art, a father that was an antiquarian book dealer, and he took me to Waddington's and Sotheby's when Sotheby's was around in Toronto, to the art auctions when I was, bless you, when I was very young, when I was 10, 12, 14, I was going to art auctions with my father, and he was explaining who the great artists were in Canada, and I sort of picked up on that. And then going into creative endeavors, so film and photography at Ryerson. I always knew I wanted to do something creative. And then it just kind of everything was a little bit of a stepping stone and a little bit of an add to the pile. And creative director for my career, working in large scale corporate events and corporate shows. Kate, you know the background very well on having done that. Yeah, having done that yourself.
A lot of glamour, but fun.
But an opportunity to work with artists from different fields. So lighting designers, set designers, costume designers, multimedia designers, web developers, and work very, very closely with them. So again, another step of understanding, creativity even more. And then the opportunity to work with the Artist Network and sit on the board. And I was fortunate enough to be asked to join the board as a collector member rather than an artist member, because I wasn't truly strictly an artist.
Although remember, you did put some of your photography into one of our shows.
Okay, that's true. That's true. People don't see that very often.
Why not?
It's because I don't focus on it enough. I've never had enough time to truly focus on it to do what I want to do with it. So that's probably the biggest reason why I don't really show it. But, something I still enjoy doing. And so that got the Artist Network gave me a really broad appreciation to be able to interact with artists, to understand where they were coming from a lot more. And then to chair SNAP, which is Canada's largest contemporary photographic charity auction. So being able to chair that for a couple of years and everything that was involved with that, and then working with, judging art shows, and it just sort of piled up more and more. And then through all that time being a collector as well. So attending, Art Toronto and Papier in Montreal, and the Artist Project, and really getting to know artists and maintaining friendships with many of the artists whose work we collected. And it just it seemed like a natural step after all that to be able to do a gallery.
Because you had all the pieces in place, like you said, all the pieces were in place, and then it kind of comes together.
Exactly. And then running my own business for 18 years also gave me the business background to be able to do this. So understanding, how to budget, how to do your costing, how to, maintain all the stuff that goes with operating the gallery.
That's so non-sexy stuff.
That's right. So all of that stuff that isn't the fun part, and going and hanging out with artists and being able to talk about their work and visiting studios, that having a background in that helped immeasurably. So it just gave me a better footing, and then being able to having a vision for something, because I was a creative director, what the gallery would look like, how it would fit together, how it would complement what was out here. So all the pieces, and it was be very honest, a very methodical, thought out, approach to making sure all the pieces were in place.
And so how soon before you actually made the move were you kind of seriously building that plan to get there?
Well, we knew we would retire early because we were in the position to be able to retire early. We say retire. Running the gallery is a full-time job. It was no retirement.
What are you doing now?
Exactly. And my partner Craig does consulting work now. So again, it's not truly retired. Just from our day-to-day, career, running like two people in completely opposite directions all the time. We bought property out here thinking that this would be a lovely place to be when we do retire, at least 10 years ago. And then I would say the plan to open a gallery and slowly extract myself from what I was doing, start to build relationships with artists that I liked, and following careers of artists that if I do that, I would say that whole process was at least 5 years in the planning stage. And then once moving out here, it took another 18 months to find a spot out here in the county that would be appropriate for a gallery space that would work.
Yeah, because two galleries located right on the main street, right? So it couldn't have been perfect. So I can imagine that would take a while. You don't really want to compromise on that location.
Right. And there's lots of stuff happening in Picton. I would say over the last 3 years, the main street of Picton has completely changed. And with the number of restaurants, the number of boutiques, there is a major hotel being built directly across the road from the gallery.
Nice.
So a nice boutique hotel with restaurants, 36 rooms, a spa. So all of those pieces, and Picton Main Street's a lovely place too, just to walk and stroll and experience lots of history here and lots of historical buildings and the charm. There's a lot of charm in Picton.
Well, and I imagine too, when you first started, you had, again, like you were saying, you had so many personal relationships with artists. I'm sure it was kind of nice to be able to kind of pick and choose because you know the work, the history of the work, but you also know the reliability of the artist too, which is kind of a critical part when you're first starting your business. You want to try and avoid as many unpredictable things as possible.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I must admit we were very fortunate for the first opening show and the first opening of the gallery. I asked 19 artists if they would be interested in participating, and 18 said yes. So I think that's pretty good odds.
That's amazing.
And
kicking themselves.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
The 19th one is kicking themselves.
Well, the 19th one I would still love to show at some point. So, and we've added more. We've added another 8 artists this season. So this is our second season. Which is great, and that's going to keep expanding. But you're right; it is fortunate that I built a lot of those relationships beforehand. Or I spent that 5 years watching artists that I admired their work, and some I still come across artists that are a complete surprise. I hadn't seen them showing before. I'll visit something like the Artist Project, and it's like, where did that person come from? They've never been here before. So lovely surprises, which is always great to see, and a couple of artists, which doesn't happen a lot, which have just walked in off the street and said, I think my work might complement what you show, and lo and behold, yes, it did. Quite extraordinary. But it was very interesting. Those people that walked in off the street, I'd seen their work before.
Right.
Somewhere. And so I may not have recognized their face. I may not have immediately recognized their name, but I certainly recognized their work when they started to show and show me the portfolio. So that's always a pleasant surprise as well.
We should put it out there, though, that's really not the preferred way to go and approach a gallery, though, or just to show up unannounced, assuming that someone's sitting there with nothing else to do but to look at your work.
That's a really good point, and a very good thing for artists to know is, you're running a business. Your primary focus, while the doors are open, is the potential clients that are walking through the door, and starting those relationships, building the talking, and taking the time out from that to look at a portfolio or talk about work or where they are in their career. That's a longer conversation. And obviously I am sometimes one that can't be done on the spur of the moment. And nobody likes to, me as a gallery owner, I don't like to disappoint anybody or feel that I'm not giving them their time or their due.
Yeah.
So the preferred way is to reach out digitally, via an email, introducing yourself, directing me to an online portfolio of your work or sharing your work, allowing me to think about it. That's very critical. The other thing is to do your research ahead of time and to go to our website and see who we show and figure and read a bit about the gallery, and understand what we're trying to do. Every gallery has a feel or an aesthetic to it, and you, as an artist, you should really ask yourself the question about whether your work fits in with the aesthetic of that particular gallery. It's going to fit.
I'm always kind of a fan of doing a bit of sort of stealth research too, like go to the openings, and if you have an opportunity, chat with the owner or the curator, so you can kind of get a feeling for the space as well.
That's right.
That means the obvious on the website.
That's right. And obviously, you as an artist, Kate, you want your work to fit in as well.
Yeah.
As an established artist, you want to show your work in a place that you feel is going to be complementary to your work. So that's
and also in good company with other artists that I also really respect. I mean, that's another part of it too.
Absolutely. So you're right. Do your research first before approaching somebody. Biggest thing is don't walk in, pull out your cell phone, and start to show the gallery owner your work.
Yeah. Try not to be self-absorbed. I think that's really the message to the artists. Think about it from the person's point of view, right? Yeah. And whether or not you would want to be surprised in the middle of, if you're painting or creating and someone comes in and wants to talk about their business, are you going to be receptive to that? Or are you catching someone in the right frame of mind to really look at the work, right? So you want to manage that scenario.
Right. And that's taking off your artist hat for a little bit and putting on your business hat.
Yeah,
for sure.
Which is a really important thing to do. And I think that's really where some of the artists that are successful are able to do stuff like that, right? So you can kind of go, this isn't what I want to do as an artist, but it's what I need to do from a business point of view, and that's really where you have to go.
Yes, totally agree.
Yeah. And so what's the history behind the name Two Gallery?
Well, everybody asks whether or not it's because there are two of us who are partners in the gallery. There's myself and my partner, Craig. And Craig, I'm kind of the front guy and the art speak guy. And Craig does so much of the business end of things. the digital end of things, social media, website, books, accounting, all of the other
Wow,
allowing
you are
allowing
so lucky.
yeah. So it's a really great.
You get to do the fun stuff, and Craig gets to do the crappy stuff. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
that's
hearing.
right. That's right. Yeah. I thought I organized that quite well, don't you?
You're brilliant.
So people assume it's because it's the two of us, which is actually not the case. It's two because there are two main components to the gallery in terms of the type of work we show. There's a contemporary side to the business, and then there's a historical side or a secondary market side to the business. So art that has been sold previously, artists who, their historical works, deceased artists, and so there's those two sides, or sort of two portions of the gallery.
And I understand you've been collecting some of that work that's part of the historical part for quite a while before you actually opened the gallery, right? So in preparation.
Yes. And I still go to auctions myself, and I know when there is a good, that's a really good deal to purchase that work of art, because I think it's not being bid on, or it's undervalued at the auction, and I know what the worth of something is. So that I still do that for sure, and enjoy doing that. And so there's two sections to the gallery. It's a very, very memorable name. All you got to remember is two, and it's got a lot of marketing legs as well. You and I both coming from a marketing background, to paint, to sculpt, to create, to see, to understand, and so it's got a lot of marketing legs to be able to incorporate the name of the gallery into the space.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really great. I like that, the fact that it's kind of so cohesive.
Yes. Well, marketing background.
Well, that always helps, doesn't it? and they said that was like, go into marketing because you can't do anything else. And then you realize as you get older, it's like, it's a super handy skill to have.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
Exactly. And so what's coming up in the gallery? What are you working on now?
Well, we're just about, we're closing down our current show. As a matter of fact, it's coming off the walls once this call is over. And that's a little bit behind me right now, and I'd be happy to take you on a tour, show you a bit of the work.
Yeah, I'd love to see a bit of that, yeah.
That's Otis Tamashauskas. He's a master Canadian printmaker, and I'll show you his work. And we had another group show of 4 women artists called Thoughts on Paper. And that show, very, very different output of what the artists create, except the connectivity is they all use paper as part of the process in their work. So that was an interesting show, and that's just coming down. And we are putting up our Smalls show for the holiday season. So that is work from a number of our gallery artists, and all in the Smalls, all in the affordable area for Christmas is gift giving, and a lot of work on paper, a lot of unframed work as well. So that's our next show coming up.
Oh, that's really great.
Would you like a little tour?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see if I can do this without messing it up. How's that?
Okay. Well, you did it yesterday successfully.
There's a little sneak peek. So it's this is Otis Tamashauskas show. And like I was mentioning, Otis is a master printmaker, and he has been a printmaker for the last 50 years.
Wow.
50. He taught at McMaster University. He taught at University of Toronto, and recently retired from teaching the fine arts department at Queen's University. This is a beautiful series of work. There's 12 works in this series, and they're called the Lansdowne handkerchiefs because he found a cache of antique silk embroidered and linen handkerchiefs in a little antique store in the village of Lansdowne, Ontario. And he incorporated the actual handkerchiefs into each one of the prints.
Wow, that's so cool.
So if you can see this one, I'll just do a little close up there. You can see the actual handkerchief,
Oh, yeah.
the border of it, and this one happens to be embroidered. And then he was doing lithography in his printing process over top of it, using a lot of the natural elements that he's very fond of. There's another good example of the handkerchief being incorporated right in. So each one of these is, of these 12 is, although it's a printing process.
They're all monoprints in it.
Yeah, they're all unique pieces.
And lithography is, I remember doing a lot of lithography in school, and there's something just so wonderfully magical about the lines you get in lithography.
Absolutely, the crispness of it. He's also a master of color as well. Mm-hmm. And here, I'll show you one of his other pieces here, which is not part of the handkerchief series, but really quite extraordinary. And a master of form and a master of color. This one's called Exotic Voyage Seashells, and it involves a lot of different type of printmaking. There is lithography in there. There is silkscreen in there. There is woodcut. There's chine collé. Each one of these being an original print that was cut out and then applied. There's historical documents that are incorporated into it. So he's a wonderful, wonderful example of printmaking.
Wow, they're beautiful.
Little Main Street Picton. And this is part of our Thoughts on Paper show. So 4 women artists, there's Lindsay Chambers, Noelle Hamlin, Christine Kim, and Kate McGuire, all doing very, very different work from each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm only really familiar with Kate's work, but yeah, very interesting.
This is Lindsay Chambers, and Lindsay paints crumpled paper. So these are oils on canvas, and we have some on linen as well. Kate McGuire does vintage magazine collage. So all of these are hand cut and hand assembled images. This is another one of Kate's pieces. Kate has a background as an architect, and you can tell from her work. Her work is very structured, very fine, and very composed.
Yeah, she was my neighbor at one of the art shows, and yeah, very interesting to see her work up close. You can definitely see the architectural influence.
Absolutely, and many of these works, not all of them, but many of them feel like you're peering through a window into another world inside.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little bit of me in the background there, and unfortunately you can't see this very well. But this is a work by Noelle Hamlin, where she has taken the pages of a book, torn them up, and then stitched them back together with silk thread.
Wow.
And so this book, yes, yeah, it's a very time-consuming process. And this book happens to be Alice in Wonderland. So it's fun when you get up close to it, you can actually find references to the Red Queen and Alice.
Oh, that's fun.
Lindsay Chambers, again, painting paper. And another unique one from Noelle Hamlin. So Noelle has a background as a costume designer and crosses a fine line between fine craft and fine art. She does a lot of work that would have traditionally been referred to as women's work. So sewing, spinning, threads, fabric. She likes to incorporate that all into her work. And this one is fascinating because it's one of her spun books. And she'll find a paperback book, and she'll take the pages out of the book. And I'm not sure if you can actually see this or not, but then she'll spin the pages like you would spin yarn. And then mount the spun book back into the book again. That's really cool. Yeah, so it becomes something very unique. So as you can see, the gallery likes to show work that you definitely won't see in other places in the county, and they're a little bit more experimental. And of course,
I know you and Craig have a pretty amazing art collection yourselves. Are you ever tempted just to kind of pull stuff out of the gallery and add it to your own collection?
Unfortunately, that's a curse of being a gallery owner. So yes. Some stuff doesn't actually manage to make it to the walls. It manages to make it the walls in the gallery. It manages to make it onto our walls. Yeah. And again, this is the work of Christine Kim, and she does hand cut. She's an illustrator, a drawer, and also does hand cut paper. This happens to be one of her collage pieces. And so each one.
What would you call that? Is that sort of textile art? Is it fiber art? Is it
This is all painting. Excuse me. This is all paper based. So here is one of Christine's illustrations, hand drawn illustrations, then cut. In the background here, what looks like almost like lace is hand cut paper by Christine. There's another piece here, which is a watercolor piece assembled into it. Again, pieces that are like the fence here is hand cut out of paper by just unbelievably fine hand cutting. So again, a very, very different, extraordinary work. And then one of her classics that we carry. How about this one here? Oh, we'll go up. Am I making you sick yet? This is one of Christine's drawings and her portraits that she does of people. And then she does these beautiful illustrations and then designs the pattern. And it's laser cut out of the paper is then laser cut, but she designs the cut pattern of each one of the pieces, which are different. She used to hand cut these, but she found she was actually ruining a lot of her original art. So she's incorporated laser cutting into the work.
Well, yeah, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. Well, I imagine it would get difficult on the hands too, like all that tiny, fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's lovely.
Again, another work by Lindsay Chambers, another painting by Lindsay Chambers. So that's kind of our thoughts on paper show. Again, which I'm doing a plug here. You can see all of that work on 2gallery.ca. So please visit the gallery.
Purchase on your gallery, or do you have to just phone you, or?
I'm sorry. Could you say the question again, Kate?
I was wondering if it's basically e-commerce. So could I go on the website and purchase it, or do I see it and then call you?
You would actually see it and call us. We're finding that when it comes to photography, sometimes people would like an item framed, sometimes unframed, different edition size. Usually if people are wanting to purchase off the website, then it's shipping it somewhere. Shipping costs are completely different everywhere. The taxes are different in each province, depending on where somebody happens to be calling from. So that makes the online process very difficult for a small gallery or a smaller gallery. You know, it's great for HBC that wants to, sell 1 million products, but I also like having the opportunity of speaking with people, talking about the work a bit more than you might get off our website, and building a relationship with our clients. So that calling in allows that to happen for us.
Yeah, I think that's important, and that's such a critical part, especially now, is to maintain that personal contact when it's, everything has been forced digitally. But I think that it's kind of we have to remember digital is a tool. It's not really the way to build those relationships.
Correct. Yeah, I heartily agree with you. And it's very easy to build a relationship with somebody that's walking through the door, and much harder to do that online.
Yeah.
This is some light box work.
Yeah, that's very cool.
They are.
I think he was at One of a Kind last year.
That's right.
With him. Yeah, very neat.
Hugo Canton. Yeah. You could see him at the Artist Project as well, from Montreal. Does great work. Some of his earlier work, or slightly older work, is this film collage.
Yeah, it's like 8mm, so you can see all the individual. You can't see it there, but you can see all the individual frames, which is really neat.
I'm not sure you can see, but this happens to be the Rolling Stones playing in Hyde Park in 1968.
Wow.
I'm not sure you can actually. Oh, there you can see Mick.
A little bit, yeah.
And Hugo is now expanding, doing layered work for a whole bunch of subject matter. This one happens to be one of his architectural series. and one from Famous Faces, and that's Lee Miller's Eyes, who is a war photographer during the Second World War, and a muse. There's more Christine Kim's work, Laurie Mirabelli.
Yep. She was a guest at the beginning, actually. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Burke Patterson got a great sense of humor in his work. Burke is also the curator of United Contemporary Gallery in Toronto on DuPont. So he's an interesting person that has graduated from being an artist and more so graduated from being an art teacher and for his career, and now has a second career as a gallery owner. So again, check out Burke's gallery. There's some work by a wonderfully talented artist.
My Unity series.
Kate
Yeah,
Taylor.
and of course the big huge red one is gone because you just sold that one. That was great.
Right.
Thank you.
That's right. Yeah. So again, you can see the ones that are sold on our website to see some of Kate's other work. And then Kate has a surprise for us by bringing some new work into the gallery very soon. So it's great.
Yeah,
We're looking.
hopefully, yeah, in the next couple of days.
Oh, okay. Well, we're looking forward to that.
Yeah.
This is a little bit backlit, so you can't see it very well right now. But Eric Tardif, who's
I love his work. Yeah.
Quebec
He'd be a
woodwork.
good person to interview.
I'm sorry, you had him in for an interview?
Yeah, no, I love his work. I was just thinking he'd be a good person to interview.
Yeah, he would be, particularly as a sculptor, a woodworker.
Yeah, his edges are just gorgeous.
Yes.
Mike Smalley.
Mike Smalley, yeah, another very, very talented painter from Toronto. So you can also see that we do a lot of mixed media work. So we're not exclusively painting. There's sculpture work. We represent a couple of glass artists. We have some clay artists coming in. This is Paul Rurda from Kitchener-Waterloo, and he works across many different types of media. These happen to be in caustics, but he does. I'm going to take you back. He does also bills. So this is a collage composition inside of a historic book, paper collage.
That you went to a lot of book auctions, and your father collected antique books, and so many of your artists actually have this really strong book connection.
Yes. Oh, you know what? That's probably subliminal on my part, or maybe not. Caitlin Mason.
Mm-hmm.
Caitlin Mason does
pencil crayon, beautiful
interpretations of fabric in color pencil. Her control of color pencil is amazing.
It's remarkable. I love watching. She sometimes posts videos of her working, and it's quite incredible.
Yes.
So what's next for your journey?
Well, I would say that getting the gallery established, up and running, and all of the physical stuff that goes with that when you're opening a gallery. So that's renovations and painting and and taxes and all of that stuff. So that was kind of the focus of year one. Oh, there you go. There's our grand piano in the gallery.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's for openings, which are sadly missing these days. Christmas concerts. Working with hope to be working with the there's an incredible music school here. Oops.
That's an abstract art.
Let me flip you back around.
Okay.
There's an incredible music school that runs here in the summers with very, very talented youth from across the country that come to study here. There's a jazz festival here as well. So the year two was supposed to be. We got all the walls up and the hardware done and the systems running and all that sort of stuff. Year two was expanding, getting more people to know about the gallery. Being involved with the community a lot more, holding events here, And we were to do a play with a small audience. Yasmin Riza's art was going to be done in the gallery. We're doing some book launches, concerts planned for the gallery. And unfortunately, all of that got put on hold, which was such a drag. That was going to be our focus for year 2, just to expand our reach into the community and to be able to fit in more out here in Prince Edward County and get known. We want people to say, you have to go to this gallery, you have to go see this gallery because it's
a destination.
Yes, that's definitely worth a stop. So that was our focus for year 2, and unfortunately that got blown out of the water a lot. So we sort of shifted and did a lot more individual and group shows than we had done last year. Luckily, we were allowed to reopen. The cases of COVID out here in the county are extreme. There's 0, basically. Yeah. I think there's been 2 cases since everything started back in March. So you feel pretty isolated and safe out here, which is good. And we were allowed to reopen. It's a large space, so we could have, supposedly we could have up to 30 people in the gallery at once, but we only allow in 10 as a maximum.
Probably smart.
Yeah. So that allowed us to keep doing some shows, get some more work up on the walls, not do official openings with wine and cheese and the piano playing, unfortunately, but
next year.
Yes, yeah. So this is our hold it together and forge ahead year, and then next year I'm sure we'll be getting much more on moving forward with what our plans are. And
yeah, I look forward to seeing that. So we're actually almost out of time, believe it or not. Yeah. So what kind of advice would you give to someone who was thinking they might want to start their own gallery?
I wouldn't go into it thinking you're going to get rich. It's not going to happen. That would be number 1. Number 2, make a good decision whether you want your focus to be either on the bricks and mortar gallery, on a digital approach, of which there are more and more. There's a number of galleries that only do art shows and only do digital, and don't have bricks and mortar, or that there's a complement of the 2. And definitely think that through before you what you want your focus to be before investing a lot of money into it. And the fact that it takes time to grow. It's like any other business. The magic doesn't really start happening until you're in your 3rd year of business, and that's when things start to take off. And it always feels, doesn't matter if you're putting on roofs or opening a gallery or being an accountant. There's this minimum 3-year magic number that allows you to understand whether or not you're going to make it take off, or what survive, or what you need to do to make it survive. It takes that long to understand. And so that's the other bit. And then the 3rd part is have some really, really fantastic artists that people want to see. So that's obviously key. And we are so lucky to have been able to do that, to have these relationships, to work with artists like you, Kate.
Well, it's not luck. I think you cultivated those relationships, and there's a good respect and a good conversation that happen back and forth. So right. I don't think you should call that luck.
Well, thank you. I consider myself lucky that I have the opportunity to work with this group of artists.
Well, and I'm very honored to be part of it. So I normally ask these kind of quick questions and stuff, and which are kind of typically more artists, but the one I always like to end up with was like, what would your big hairy ass goal be? It almost feels like you're already kind of living your hairy ass goal.
That's a good, yes. My big hairy ass goal right now is to have the gallery a real success, have the gallery known as a destination. So when people want to come out here, you have to come to this gallery. There are lots of great galleries out here, but it'd be great to have that word of mouth that people know you're not going to be disappointed when you come visit 2 Gallery. And to continue to bring interesting artists into the gallery from across the country. That's a big hairy ass goal of mine. I'd love to be able, it's funny how Canada has very regional art scene. And
Mm-hmm.
you often don't hear about artists from the East Coast or the West Coast, or what's happening in Winnipeg right now, and the fact that a lot of Quebec artists are pushing the edge, have always been pushing the boundaries of things, uh, because the collectors in Quebec like to push the boundaries of things as well.
Yeah.
And so my big goal right now is to be able to bring some of those artists in from across the country and be able to show their work here in Ontario.
Oh, that would be amazing. Well, I think we're kind of almost out of time, but I just want to say to people, make sure you kind of go and check out Prince Edward County, and make sure you check out 2 Gallery and say hi to Jim.
Please do. Please do.
And I will see you in a few days.
Okay. Thanks very much for inviting me, Kate.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful. Thanks.
Okay. Take care.
Bye. Oh, that was great. So I hope you enjoyed having that really wonderful tour of his gallery. It is a beautiful gallery, and I went to the first opening they did, and it's just, he's got such a way of having just the perfect music and the perfect interesting food and the perfect art and the perfect people there that make it such an enjoyable situation. So thank you for joining me this week again for Talking to Artists. If you have any artists that you're interested in kind of having me interview, then Caitlin, I see you just joined us, so I'm going to actually target you to see if you want to be a guest on my show. I'm putting it out there so that it's harder for you to wiggle out. But anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys joining us. Make sure that you check out Jim's gallery. Check out all the other previous interviews on my YouTube channel. They're great just to listen to while you're doing other things. You don't necessarily have to watch. And make sure you stay tuned to see what's going on with our square foot or our Pie Art Squared show, the round show. Have a wonderful day and enjoy